Hi, good morning all. A very warm welcome to everybody on the webinar organized by GemAtlas. Today's webinar will be conducted by Mr. Hemant Shah, and he will be talking about a topic to ensure a better 2016 for the industry. We are very thankful to Mr. Shah for conducting this webinar for us. Now I will hand over the presentation to him to take it forward from here. Thank you everybody.
Thank you, Swapnil, and a very good morning to everybody. When I was preparing for this webinar and I was chatting with my daughter, she told me, Dad, isn't it a little late in the day to hold a webinar on how to ensure a better 2016 somewhere towards the middle of February? And having no other answer, all I told her is that, look, beta, there are two kinds of New Years that come when it comes to Indian businesses. One is the 1st of January, which is the calendar year, and the other is the 1st of April, when our new fiscal year starts. So I said we are doing it right in between so that people who want to follow the fiscal year can start employing these ideas and this thought processes from the 1st of April, and people who have already into the process can maybe verify that they're doing the right things and thereby go ahead and either do it or change or tweak it as they deem fit. I know 2015 has been a very challenging year, and the challenges were manifold. I think the biggest challenge has been that the consumer demand for jewelry, diamonds in particular, apparently gold and silver are still doing well, platinum is doing well, but diamonds has been badly hit. And the demand has shrunk so drastically that one cannot even imagine that this is the kind of hits they would have taken in one single year. I personally attribute this lack of demand to lack of marketing and promotion. This is something I've been saying very often, very regularly for the past many years, and we can now see the effect. The lack of marketing and promotion is something that has actually moved the consumers away from jewelry as a product and taken them to all other things, which include holidays, which include electronics, more so mobile phones, which include cars, and various other things, where, bear in mind, they don't even have a resale value that is anywhere comparable to jewelry. So marketing, promotion is something that has been a big challenge in 2015. And because of the shrinking consumer demand globally, the stocks in the pipeline, whether it is the polished diamonds, whether it is the jewelry, whether it is the jewelry in the retail showcases, has been piling up. And of course, this leads to manifold challenges. The biggest challenge is that your money is blocked. The money is not rotating. And of course, you're not making money at the end of the day. And all these compounded together lead to the kind of situation we are in, where everything pertaining to the industry becomes a challenge. Besides marketing and promotion, I think another thing that had hit us very badly is the sharp cut in finance that is available to the industry. Traditionally also, I don't think we had too many sources for funds except for the banks. But seeing what has been happening, the banks have started cutting down the fund supply, and that has led to tremendous challenges for the industry, specifically the liquidity crunch. Today, money is not turning around, and without the money turning around, there is no money to be made. If you turn your money around just once a year, and if you have a gross margin of 15%, you're already in the red. Your expenses are more than that. And therefore, turning money around has to be an important factor at every stage. Also, because of what I mentioned earlier regarding marketing and promotion not being done, we have lost the share of the consumer's wallet. And therefore, although the wallet may be loaded, the share from that which should come to jewelry is not coming. It is going to all other products. To top it all, the currency has been flexing itself. It's moving at its whims and fancies, and this has led to a huge amount of challenges when it comes to actually predicting where we, what our margins are at each stage of the game. The other challenge that we faced and which we have been facing continuously are the unethical practices. Just today morning, I was reading a report which says that somebody on Alibaba is offering what they are announcing as man-made diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, with a GIS certificate. And reading the report, I was very amused. Of course, I was distraught, but I was very amused that the person quotes for the stones in $1 per carat value. And then he says, okay, these stones are available, but now if you want a certificate, it is X dollars per certificate. What it really means is that he has a stockpile of certificates, just like he has a stockpile of man-made diamonds. And he is offering that blatantly on Alibaba, saying that this is available. I think this is like going and telling somebody that I have a very good copy of the Van Gogh and I can give you an original certificate for it. Okay, so I'm telling you I'm selling a copy, but I'm telling you that I can give you an original certificate. It's really, is this really an ethical practice? And if we know about this, what are the steps that we as an industry are taking to make sure that guy who is doing this is brought to justice, is stopped from doing these things now and in the future? And what are the systems that we are creating to make sure that the certificates remain genuine? Of course, we have tremendous challenges. In the US, there are cases and cases pending over overgrading of diamonds, fraudulent certificates. These unethical practices are actually going to be the doom of the industry. If one cannot believe that the product that one is buying from anywhere is genuine, then why would anybody go and buy the product? Yes, there are times and there are people who would not mind buying and using a lab-grown diamond. But let it be known that it is lab-grown. And if the person is looking for a natural diamond, do not give him a lab-grown saying it is natural. Because the day he realizes it, and trust me, someday he will, the day he realizes it, he is going to stop buying diamonds and move on to lab-grown, saying that in any case, if that's what I'm getting, I might as well know and buy that. So these unethical practices of overgrading, fraudulent certificates, mixing, are things that are going to spell a doom for the industry. They have cast its net wide in 2015. And if we don't correct ourselves, this net is only going to be cast even wider. So having seen the challenges that we are facing, having seen what is happening really in the industry, I would believe that we've reached a rock bottom. And when one reaches a rock bottom, there are only two things that can happen. One, you get shattered and destroyed. Or the second, if you take it as a learning curve, you can still bounce back. And well, for all you know, you will bounce back so well that this industry is still going to be one of the best and most profitable industries one would see in a long time. So having looked at 2015 and the many challenges that it posed, let us look at what we can do. So 2015 challenged us, but 2016 beckons us. And the only way you can make 2016 good and 17 better and just keep growing is to use the learnings from all the challenges that we have had, from some of the failures that we have faced, and use those learnings to get inspired. You need to get inspired from those learnings, not heartbroken. You cannot sit back and mope and say that, oh, this industry is going to the dogs. By saying that, nothing is going to happen except that you will believe in it completely and so will your consumers. But if you get inspired, if you learn from these mistakes and find solutions that will open 2016 for you, that is what is going to be of very critical importance. I know there are many challenges, and I know that all those challenges will need to be addressed. But one cannot take on the whole thing at a time. And therefore, for 2016, I am going to focus only on 5 things that are very critical and which need immediate and paramount attention. The first of these things that we need to do in 2016 is to take control of our business. Yes, there are many factors that control our business, and we do not have the capability, the ability, or the resources to take control of all of them. But we have to realize, we have to analyze, we have to understand what factors we can control. And the factors that we can control, we need to focus on. Let us not waste our resources by trying to change things that are beyond our control. But let us definitely take control of our business and things that matter, things that are important to us, and things that we can control. Let us make those things our focal point. Let me first take the case of rough purchases. I think what happened, one of the best things that happened last year, was somewhere towards the last quarter of 2015. People did realize that taking control of your business and making sure that you're profitable is a very, very important part. Prior to that, I think the biggest challenge was that every diamond manufacturer wanted to buy rough every time it was available. And I think the main reason for this was not that they hoped that they would be able to sell it or that they saw a light at the end of the tunnel that they would be able to get a good price and demand for the diamonds that they would polish. I think the primary reason why every single diamond manufacturer kept buying rough was that he was always afraid that if he did not buy the rough, then he would get out of the cycle and hence would never have a steady source of rough to run his business. Well, look at what happened. What happened was that the mining companies kept selling you the rough, and as long as your demand was there, they kept selling at a price which they thought was reasonable, without giving too much thought to the plight that their customers were in. And this cycle went on expanding. So people kept buying rough. They would even polish a part of it. They kept increasing their inventory, both in rough and in polish, without any proper channels for marketing and distributing the same. And because there were no sales, because there was no money, revenues flowing in, the whole financial strapping also started. And the banks naturally became wary because they realized that the people to whom they were lending were not conscious of their business. And if the person to whom you're lending money is not conscious of his business, would you lend him? No. Same thing with the banks. Why in hell would they lend you money if you don't know what you're doing with it? So this rough purchase cycle had been a big challenge for the industry. And it is only when one fine day people took control of their business. People realized that they don't need the rough if they can't sell the polished. And they refused to take the rough, no matter what the consequences, is that things changed. Rough prices started falling, and I believe over the year they must have fallen by roughly about 20%. Whether it's enough or not is debatable. Whether the miners have taken a right call or not is their call. But from my viewpoint, from where I stand, it is definitely the right decision. Because if the profit of an entire pipeline is not distributed fairly within the various elements of the pipeline, no business can survive. If it is only the miner who is making money, or it has to be a fair trade. One cannot say every state has to make an equal. They have, and therefore, as I said, I believe one of the best things that has happened in 2015 is the realization is that run your business for profits, not because of lines. Yes, there was a time when revenues made all the difference because for whatever reason, the banks were giving you money on the revenues you generate, irrespective of the profit you made. And we've seen where that has got us. So we need to focus on profits, not on revenues. I don't think anybody here is interested in creating sales of phenomenal value and then at the end of the day losing money. That's not what one wants. Well, it's not only about revenue, it's even about branding. I understand a brand takes 5 to 7 years to reach some kind of a profitable stage. But at the end of the day, every brand also needs to make money. So we are all in business. We are not in charity. Nor are we in the business of taking money from banks or any other avenue and siphoning them off to other avenues. We are in business, and the primary purpose of a business is to make money. And therefore, we all need to focus on profits rather than revenue. I believe today what is happening is that the industry is shrinking. Trust me, it's good for the industry. Because in the race for revenues, we have started selling far more than what the industry needs and demands today. And that has made us a useless piece of business. So all of us need to focus on profits and not revenues alone. Government control versus marketing. I'm talking about this under control your business because I have increasingly been seeing that everybody in the industry, specifically in India, are only trying to address issues with the government. They want a turnover tax, they want to reduce the VAT, they want to reduce the income tax, they want to reduce the duties that they have to pay. It is all about government control. If you have to demand something from the government, demand that they give you a subsidy for your marketing efforts. That is what is important. It is only when the consumer end of the pipeline is flowing freely that the rest of the pipeline will also flow. If you address the challenges of marketing and you have the consumers walking in to buy your product, trust me, a 1/4% duty or a 0.5% duty is not going to affect you in any way whatsoever. Let's not look at government control. Let's look at how the government can help us with our business. Don't worry about the income tax. You're paying income tax after you made the money. Right now, you're not making money. Is it more important to focus on the profit aspect by generating sales, or is it more important to go and tell the government that don't charge me so much income tax because I'm not making money? The government is not going to get anything if you don't make money. Why the hell do you worry about it? So when you are in conversation, take control. Take control of what you're talking to the government. Take control of your business. Identify the real challenges that you're facing and get the government to help you to address those challenges. Don't talk to the government about removing things that are not your challenges. So the first thing to do in 2016 is to take control of your business. The second thing to do in 2016, learn and comprehend. For those of you who know Gujarati, we have this saying, say, "Bhanya pan ganya nahi." What it really means is that you have studied the books, but you have not learned to apply it. And that is one of the biggest advantages I had studying at IIT. Most of our exams were open book exams. They did not expect us to remember by rote the formulas, but they did expect us to understand what formula to apply when, and that is what I'm talking about. We've learned a lot in 2015. We've made mistakes. We've got to now learn from our mistakes. And I think the biggest learning that we can take from 2015 is the fact that past premises do not work or are definitely not acceptable by today's generation of consumers. And therefore, we need to change. Change is imperative. There is no way that you can do away with change. So we need to learn from our mistakes in 2015. We need to identify the changes we need to make. We need to identify what from the past premises that we have been working on are not working today or are not acceptable to today's consumers. And then we need to start implementing those changes and bouncing back with all the vigor that we have. There's a lot to learn from 2015. I would believe it is 1 year that has probably taught us all more even than 2008. And I think we need to learn from this very rapidly. And if we do that, we have a great future ahead of us. The third thing to do in 2016, marketing and promotion. Although I believe this is the most important thing, I have not put it at number 1, because I believe that once we do number 1, only then will we be able to do 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, marketing and promotion of vital importance. I do not even know how I can stress this more than as I have been doing for the past 10 years. Most people consider marketing as an expense. Trust me, it is not an expense. It is an investment. And you can well see today, because of lack of marketing and promotion, we are in a situation we don't have a business. So if you get into a situation where you don't have a business, is that money spent then an expense, or is it an investment? I think it's a no-brainer. Okay? Because if you do not spend that money, you are not going to have a business. Therefore, very clearly, very simply, it is an investment. But let us look at it another way. It's a cycle. Once you start marketing, people demand. As people demand, you sell more, and therefore you need to manufacture more. Naturally, the advantage of volume steps in. But also, depending on the kind of marketing you are doing, depending on the kind of communication you are engaging in with your consumers, you will find that that marketing is the only avenue available for you to improve your margins in the long term. And this is why that investment is a very, very powerful investment. What is it about our industry that is the biggest challenge today? That consumers do not buy. But even if they buy, they do not buy in an ongoing manner. What I mean by ongoing manner is something that they buy multiple times across the year, every year. Weddings are important, and weddings will always constitute to maybe 60 or 70% of the jewelry business, especially in India. Okay, the trend is rapidly changing in the US, but in India, weddings is still very important. But is it enough to sell to a person only at weddings? No, because the person, unfortunately for us in India, gets married only once a year, once a lifetime. Therefore, he's going to come and really buy serious jewelry from only once in a lifetime. But if you create other events, you make occasions where jewelry can be identified with, and where gifting jewelry becomes a tradition, becomes a habit, becomes a norm, that is what is going to make your business run all the year round. And that is what is going to get consumers into your shops more than once in a lifetime, more than once a year, maybe as much as 4 or 5 times a year. So create events, and of course showcase these events to the consumers. If the consumers do not know about the events, then creating the event is of no use. So showcase these events And today, showcasing is not a very expensive task. It's not like the olden days where the only way you could showcase an event was to have a TV ad and a newspaper ad. And today, social media. Use social media extensively, and that social media is so inexpensive that for the cost of a full page ad in a Times of India Mumbai edition, or for the cost of a 30-second slot on TV, you will be able to do buzzing social media activity for maybe 3 months of the year. So, as I said, the premises change. With every passing day, the premises change, the requirements change, the methodology and the content that you need to create the hook for the new generation of consumers changes. Also, the new consumer today, the millennial, is very, very savvy and concerned about social causes, environmental causes, and hence it is very important to educate the consumers about these critical issues. You need to tell them about the ethical practices in the industry. You need to tell them about how, right from the mining, we take care of the environment. How corporate social responsibility is an integral part of everything that this industry does. We need silence is golden, but not when it comes to marketing. You need to go out there and tell people what you're really doing and make sure that they understand that you are addressing the various concerns that they may have in a very, very logical and systematic manner. So marketing and promotion is not only about putting an ad. It is about creating a strategy to make sure that whatever you do is at the end of the day in line with the vision you set for the industry. You need to create events other than weddings. You need to showcase these events. You need to communicate. How many millennials today read a newspaper? If they want any news, they just pick up their phone or their iPad or their laptop and start going onto some channel. So are they going to see an ad that you put in the newspaper? No. Use social media. That is where they are. And if we know that the millennials and the youngsters today are concerned about various issues, address them and then communicate to them how you are addressing it. So it's very, very important that you educate the customers on critical issues. Fourth thing to do in 2016, let ethics rule. There is no right way to do a wrong thing. So don't even try to do that. And business without ethics is not a business. Major issues that consumers are concerned about are, of course, mixing. We addressed this a little earlier. Overgrading and fraudulent certificates, we discussed that. But what is more important is the attitude of the customers to jewelers today. natural diamond of quality A, B, C, sure that it is of quality. There is no need whatsoever to give them anything else. They do not want that. And stop treating your product as an investment. Give them a product that they would love to use. The millennials are not looking at jewelry as an investment. So it's very important that all of us adopt WYSIWYG as a very important and integral part of what we do. What you say is what you give. If you're saying you're giving something, give that. If you're giving something, say that. So that is the only way that you will be able to build the confidence of the consumer to come out there and buy your product. Let ethics rule completely. Have zero tolerance over mixing and overgrading and fraudulent certificates. We have a lot of councils and diamond bourses and various associations. I think I said this last September when I was giving a talk. They need to start biting. They've been barking, but that's not good enough. And I think there are times when the human being understands much better from a bite than from a bark. And therefore, I urge all these organizations to really go out there and make sure that they enforce that everybody works ethically. Coming to the last thing to do, transparency. We need to be transparent in all our dealings. Financial dealings, with the banks, with my customers, with my suppliers, everybody. We need to be transparent about our pricing. Demand your price. I am not saying that you go and sell cheap, but I'm saying be transparent about the pricing. If a VVS EF color diamond of say size 2 pointers costs you 55,000 or 60,000 rupees a carat, be transparent, explain that to your customer. If he cannot afford it, ask him to opt for a lower quality. But don't form a situation where because he wants it in 50,000, you give him a lower quality and then you have an understanding with the certifying lab. It's just compounding. It's like for one single lie, you are going to have to create a web of lies. So be transparent about your pricing. Claim your price. Explain to the customer that design is a cost. Explain to the customer that product development is a cost. Explain to the customer that repairing and giving a quality that is superior is a cost. And once you have explained all this, be fair about the pricing. And once you have done this, I would go to the extent of saying that if the customer still does not want it, refuse to sell him. Tell him you cannot give him a VVS EF for 50,000 rupees. In fact, go out there on the web, go out onto social media, put forth your point. Doing so, throw an open challenge to any supplier who can give you fairly graded, correctly graded product for something that is nearly impossible. And be transparent about your product. Whether it is the quality, whether it is the inputs that are going into it, caratage of goods, quality of diamonds, everything about the product should be transparent. How it was developed, what were the things that went into developing of the product, because that is the way that your consumer will understand why your pricing is fair. So be completely transparent in all your dealings in the business. Having said this, as I said, there are a lot more things that the industry needs to do. But these are 5 things that need to be addressed immediately. Because if we don't address these 5 things, not only will we not have a great 2016, I'm not even sure how good 2017 or 18 or 19 will be. We are here in a business. The business needs to perpetuate itself. If we do not start addressing these things today, is it possible that you may not even leave a business for the next generation? Very much so. And therefore, addressing these challenges is very important. I have intentionally not dwelled on the industry survival fund that I had mooted in September last year on the future, when I was talking about the future of the industry. But now that the Diamond Producers Association has finally got its officers in place, has finally got people who are going to put in their time and make sure that this industry succeeds, and the World Diamond Mark, which is already there. I hope the two of them together can work out some kind of a system. I understand it's going to take some time before the system can be set up, implemented, and executed. But the faster, the better. I wish them all the best. I wish you all the best. And I sincerely hope that with these 5 things, we can already start making 2016 a much better year for our business than 2015. Thank you very much. I'm Hemant Shah, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to take them now. Thank you. છે કોઈ questions? Hello. તો કેવી રીતે કરશું હવે? મને તો અહીંયા કોઈ દેખાતા નથી questions. અચ્છા question છે. Okay. I will take the question from Sarla Shah first. We see a slowdown in walk-ins for exhibitions also. How do one conduct and get more business from exhibition participation? Sallaji, any person coming to an exhibition comes to fulfill some need that the store that he or she is working in has. Considering that 2015 was a slow year at the retail level, naturally there's not too much that the retailers would want to buy, and therefore they would not be at the show. But at the end of the day, the crux is that even as a jewelry manufacturer or wholesaler, you have to think about how you will help your customer to sell the jewelry to the consumer. Because only when what you have sold to your retailer is bought by a consumer, that the retailer is going to come back to you for more. It is precisely for this reason that for many, many years, De Beers used to advertise at the B2C level, a diamond is forever. Because they realized way back then that only if the consumer is buying the diamonds is the jeweler going to sell more, and if the jeweler is selling more, he's going to buy more diamonds, and if he buys more diamonds, their site holders will in turn buy more rough. It's a cycle, it's a chain, it's a pipeline. So that's the first thing. The second thing, are you really innovating? Are you really creating product lines that differ from what you offered over the years, which is enough to attract the retailer to come to you? No. If you're not doing that, why should he come to you? Everybody else has got the same product, who probably may be even giving a better price. So the slowdown is for two reasons. One is that the consumer is not buying, and the second is that you are not probably offering them. So if you are offering them, make sure that, as I said, you have to showcase the event to the consumer. In your case, you have to showcase your new collections to the retailer. Send them mailers, send them emailers, send them something so that they know that this is your new product. Only then will they come and see you. I hope this answers your question. I'm taking the next question from Hemant Shah. I completely agree with you. You will not lose consumers completely, but yes, you would lose them, and you would definitely lose the faith that they have in you. Lab-grown diamonds are here to stay. And again, I keep referring to my September presentation. You can probably, if you have not seen it, you can go onto YouTube and see it. I think it is there on the GemAtlas YouTube channel also. And it's basically that you cannot wish them away. But what you could definitely do is keep them separate. Genuine leather and artificial leather stand side by side and both do well. In fact, in that process, genuine leather has become far more respectable and far more expensive. It's the same with lab-grown diamonds. And we've seen this case in pearls also. So as long as you keep them separate, you do not mix them. And there is complete transparency and communication when selling to the consumers. I do not see it as a problem. It's just that it's another business. It's like CZs have always been there. Moissanite has been there. So it's not that it's going to be a challenge. The challenge is from our side, where to make short-term gains and a quick buck, we are mixing the two. So Bhavesh, if we stop mixing the two and treat them as two separate categories of product, I don't see any challenge whatsoever. Palash, how e-com can help us increase more sales? Yes, I agree with you. It definitely can. And there are so many things that can help us to increase sales if we look at it in the right perspective. Okay, so it's a whole topic that one can talk about, how e-commerce can help you to increase sales, because in today's world, e-commerce is not only helpful for the consumer end, but even B2B. There are very serious businesses happening in e-commerce at the B2B level, which can really be something that you can learn from. So as I said, this is a whole new chapter. Maybe GemAtlas is listening. They will get somebody to conduct a webinar on e-commerce, and that should be of great help. Latish Chheda, what would be advice on how to increase the liquidity of funds in the market? Okay. First, if funds were taken for the gem and jewelry industry, let them work within the gem and jewelry industry. Don't divert them to other businesses. Second, make sure that there is a continuous flow of customers into your shops. As I said, if the end of the pipeline is flowing, all other aspects of the pipeline will flow. So once you do these two things, I think 90% of your challenges are done. I hope that answers your question, Latish. this is from Yogesh Desai. This year seems a very volatile year from the forex, commodity, equity, and financial position globally. What is your view on that? Okay, I'm not a financial expert, Yogesh, but as I said, the currencies have been flexing themselves, and one really doesn't know. Actually, if you look at the situation today, China is in a great slowdown. The Indian market itself, especially when it comes to jewelry, is in a pretty balancing situation. Phase that it has been. So there is some form of uncertainty. There is some form of a big, huge question mark to which nobody knows the answer. Okay. Considering this, yes, everything is in a flux. But let me ask you one question. In spite of everything being in a flux, the card industry is still doing well. The holiday industry is still doing well. The electronic industry is still doing well. How is it that all these guys, and you realize you buy a car worth 50 lakhs of rupees, drive it out of the showroom, stand on the curb, and try to sell it. You will not get more than 40 lakhs back. Also, when that guy goes to buy the 50 lakh car, he has not asked him how much metal is there and how much plastic is there and how much leather is there or any damn thing on earth. So it's a question of attitude. So although for jewelry, it seems to be a big challenge, I think it is mainly because we are not doing things in the right way. And the biggest of them being advertising. I don't know how much I'm stressing this. I don't know how many times I've already said this, but for me, this is one of the most important aspects that can help this industry to survive. Also, when all these other categories are doing well, one expects jewelry to do well. Because we term ourselves in the same bracket as luxury products. But are we really luxury? No. So we need to change that. Or else we need to go and start saying that, okay, I am the vada pav wala at the corner. So that's my take on this thing. Yes, global commodity equity prices are going to remain a challenge. Forex is going to remain a challenge. But then that's something that you have to live with. So if you want to insulate your business from this, as I said, you need to get into a real business. And once you are focused and take control of your business, these challenges become even less important. Okay, Palash, I don't know, I think you are a designer or a merchandiser. You asked me, what are the jewelry trends you envisage with reference to price and colors used in them? I don't know what to envisage, Palash, but if I want to target the audience that I am talking of, which is the audience of the 18 to 35-year-old, I think it's a no-brainer on what I need. You need more attractive price points, preferably between maybe 7,000 rupees and 50,000 rupees. You need more modern designs. They are not interested in what your grandmother wore. And you need far more superior service and well-trained salesmen. As far as colors are concerned, you know what? I think we in jewelry should introduce a range of colors every year. We need to start introducing more than one collection a year. We need to introduce 4 collections a year: summer, autumn, winter, spring. Let the spring color collection be full of color. Let the winter collection be more of black and white. Various things. It's all up to you. So, and again, if you want to talk on jewelry trends, it can be a couple of days session that we can organize. GemAtlas, are you listening? What are your views? This is from Prasad Sawant. What are your views on marketing a company as only a CVD supplier? Fantastic. Congratulations, Prasad. This is exactly what I was talking of when I said that you need to keep the 2 products separate and sell them as 2 separate product categories. There can be a person who sells only genuine leather. There can be a person who sells only artificial leather. There can be a giant dealer who refuses to touch real leather. All this is part of the game. Have a company that is only selling CVD. That is what you're doing. Fantastic. Go ahead and do it. And I promise you, you will meet with tremendous success. This is from Vipin Jani. Which type of diamond trends will flourish in 2016? The natural diamond, lab grown, or synthetic? Okay. They will all succeed. Ever since mankind knows what it has been doing, women have always wanted to adorn themselves. In the initial stages, they used to wear the nails of a lion or a tiger or some bones of some small animal in their neck or their hands to show that they had some adornment. It went on to stone jewelry. It went on to brass and copper jewelry. Went on to gold and diamond and platinum and diamond and jewelry. So everybody is going to require jewelry all the time. I do not believe it is going to be the material that is going to be of paramount importance. All surveys done regarding the consumer show that what is most important to them is the design. So if a collection is well created, whether it is in CZ, whether it is in Swarovski, it is going to work well with the women. Then what is going to be the tilting factor? Advertising and promotion. What will sell is what is going to be advertised well, all things being equal. If everybody has great collections, if everybody has great design, if everybody has great quality, then it is the promotion and marketing that's going to make a difference. But as an absolute value, it is design that is most important. It is quality of both the product as well as the service that is very important. And I think third or fourth on the list may be price. Okay, so that's what you should be addressing within. GemAtlas, do we have enough time, Swapnil? Okay, Prasad Sawant.
We can take a question more and then.
Okay, so I'm going to take 2 more questions. The one I'm answering, and then I see there is one from Shivraman. I'm going to take that one. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Prasad, how can one raise capital for marketing in today's global market scenario? Well, Prasad, you're a little unlucky. You're coming in a little late in the day with every single company that has come with an IPO in our industry in India and the kind of games they have played. I'm not sure that an IPO is going to be a good way to raise money today. And for reasons that are obvious and for reasons that are less obvious from what we just spoke of, I don't think a venture capitalist is very easily going to fund you today. The scenario is a little different in the case of e-commerce businesses. Because in the e-commerce business, they are not looking at the value of the jewelry or the diamond or the gold, but they are looking at a different business. Their goals are different. They want engagement. They want people who are there on the website whom they can address with any other product in the future. So raising money today is not an easy task, and it's not to say that it's impossible, but you need to have a proposition which can withstand the questions that will be asked on the fronts that I just mentioned. I'm taking the last question. This is from A. Shivaraman. Hi Shivaraman, it's great to see you here. Hi Hemant, good one. Yes, there is a need to change, but that is the hardest. Can you summarize the point 5 again? Okay, that could take quite some time. But Shivram, what I'm talking of here is transparency. Transparency in financial dealings, transparency in pricing, and transparency in product. What I mean by transparency in financial dealings is that if I take money from a bank for purpose A, I make sure that I'm using the money and I'm transparent about it for the purpose for which it was taken. Or if I am buying rough, I need to be able to justify the need for that rough. And being scared of not remaining a site holder anymore and therefore buying the rough is not a justifiable reason. So what I mean by financial transparency is precisely that if you are taking money for the jewelry business, make sure that it goes into the jewelry business. As I just responded to somebody else, we have a massive liquidity crunch in the market right now. But as I said, if all the money that is taken for the business is kept within the business, the liquidity crunch is gone. There is no liquidity crunch at all. So that's what I'm talking of. In the same way, when I'm talking of pricing transparency, demand your price, but justify it and be transparent about it. Don't just go and tell that person that, okay, these diamonds are at 50,000 rupees a carat. And then what you are giving him is actually 35,000 rupees a carat. And then you formed a nexus with the certifying agency, with whatever else that is there to make sure that the certificate says what you are saying. No. I am saying immaterial of external certification. In fact, I would say let external certification go to dogs. Let every retailer, let every brand become its own certifying agency. Okay, that's what is really needed. And then justify your costs. If there is a huge factor of design involved, make sure it is included in your price and communicate it. Explain to the consumer. Trust me, none of the consumers today are idiots. Yep. So that is what I meant by pricing. It's the same about product transparency. What is going into the product? If you are saying that it contains A, B, and C, let there be A, B, and C. And that's the WYSIWYG I was talking about. What you say is what you give. Not what you see is what you get. Because the general consumer, in the case of jewelry, does not understand what he sees, except the design and maybe the finish of the product. But no consumer, by looking at it, is going to know whether it is 14 karat, 18 karat, or silver. So it is up to us, up to the trade, to give them what we say we are giving them. I hope this answers your question, Shivram. What are the ways individual companies can participate in generic promotion? This is from Binayfer. Hi, Binayfer. I think you were present at my lecture in September where I had mooted the Industry Survival Fund. Well, that Industry Survival Fund is designed in such a way that not only every individual, every person in the pipeline can contribute, be a part of it, and reap the benefits from what happens there. So that is exactly what I'm talking of. I think I even wrote an article for GemAtlas, was it in the last issue, on the industry survival fund, and that should be what one can do. Another one from Vinay. Companies seem to be calling other synthetics as lab grown these days, so there is misleading across the board. Are there rules which can be enforced? Yes, Binayfar, I think this case has already gone to court, and the court has ruled, if I'm not mistaken, I need to also verify and check, but the court has ruled that it is not necessary to call them synthetic, but that they can be called CVD or lab grown. So there you are. Naturally, for obvious reasons, one would not want to call them synthetic, and therefore this case has been ensuing for some time, but I think if you Google it, you'll be able to find out what it is all about. I am coming to the last of the day. I have been advertising in magazines. In your view, where else should I advertise this year to help me get a better return on my investment? Prasad, I do not know from here what kind of a business you are in, but I believe that you are probably in the business of jewelry manufacturing and wholesaling or something to that effect. As I said, even at the B2B level, e-commerce and social media work wonders, and they are far more inexpensive and give a far better return on investment. So I would definitely suggest that you should be using and looking at those kind of avenues for advertising. I am not sure whether magazine advertising is today giving one enough mileage or return. In fact, you could probably use things like GemAtlas as a platform where you can send out messages, emailers to various people who are members, and that too can have a very good viral effect. So you have to keep looking at these things. And as I said, today GemAtlas offers you one of the most inexpensive ways to get to a very large audience. So these are things that you should be able to use. Okay. Yes, I think that finishes all the questions. And I would like to return you to GemAtlas for them to wind up. I hope you have all had a good time looking at this. And in case you need to connect with me, my email address is mentioned here. I would be more than happy to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Mr. Shah, for conducting this very informative webinar for all of us. I'm sure this ideas and advices from you would definitely ensure a better 2016 for the industry. It was a pleasure, everybody, having you on this webinar today, organized by GemAtlas. If you have any queries, any questions, you can post them or email them on info@gematlas.com. I repeat, info@gematlas.com. Thank you once again for being a part of this webinar.